For this video, there's going to be sources in the comments. So if you would like to look at any of the research that I have taken a look at and gathered for the making of this video, they will be in the comments and they will be linked. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. People cannot agree on ingredients lists. Some people swear that if a food has more than 5 ingredients, it is automatically junk and probably plotting on your downfall. Others say that you should just relax, that it's just bread with seeds and extra vitamins and it's not going to kill you. And there is a very real myth online that anything with a long ingredient list is unhealthy, even though nutrition researchers point out that list length alone doesn't tell you if a food is good or bad for you. So, what's actually going on? This isn't really about short list means it's pure and long list means that it's evil and out to kill you. It's about how food processing works and who it helps or hurts in real life. By the end, you'll understand why people fight about this and where you might reasonably land on the more ingredients equals bad spectrum. Let's start with why people like simple rules. So, let's start with why the more ingredients equals bad idea is also so popular. It feels clean, it feels smart. And if you're in the grocery aisle and your brain is tired, and someone online told you that anything with more than 5 ingredients is unhealthy, you churn the package, see a paragraph of text, and boom, case closed. Articles from nutrition scientists even admit that this rule is everywhere because people want an easy way to spot natural foods without doing a full chemistry exam in the snack aisle. And to be fair, a lot of foods with just 1 to 3 ingredients really are close to their original farm form. Think plain oats, lentils, or frozen veggies. So the short equals simple, and simple equals probably fine shortcut works. Sometimes. On top of that, ingredient labels are written in a way that makes long lists extra scary. They have to use the official chemical names for things. So instead of vitamin C, you might see ascorbic acid, which sounds like something that melts through steel and not something that would just be in an orange. Food law also says ingredients must be listed in order of weight, which means whatever is first is most of the food, and whatever is last is barely there. But most people just see a wall of words and panic. So your brain doesn't go, oh, sugar is third, that matters. It just goes, wow, 12 lines of text, this must be horrible. Meanwhile, the internet loves drama. So never eat anything with more than 5 ingredients spreads way faster than the far less crazy read the ingredient order and also the nutrition facts and then consider your overall diet. Nutrition groups like the European Food Information Council actually point out that the number of ingredients alone is not a good measure of whether a food is healthy. But nuance doesn't go viral nearly as well as fear. In other words, the rule is popular because it feels powerful and simple, not because it's accurate. Now, let's flip the situation. Why do some foods have a lot of ingredients in the first place? Sometimes it's because they're doing useful jobs. Preservatives can stop food from growing bacteria or mold during storage or transport, which is kind of nice if you enjoy not getting food poisoning. Emulsifiers and stabilizers help things like salad dressing or plant-based milks stay smooth instead of separating into a weird science project on your counter. According to the European food safety rules summarized by EUFIC, additives such as preservatives, colors, and emulsifiers are used for specific technical reasons and must stay within regulated safety limits. They're not just tossed in at random for fun. There are also products that look scary on the back, but are doing you real favors. One example discussed by nutrition communicators is fortified plant-based drinks. They can have a long ingredient list because they include added calcium and vitamin D so that people who don't drink cow's milk still get those nutrients. Public health groups like Yale's School of Public Health give a similar example with vitamin D added to milk to help your body absorb calcium and support bone health, which is a form of extra ingredients that most of us quietly benefit from. In both cases, the ingredient list gets longer, but the actual goal is better nutrition and not worse. Even whole grain breads and yogurts can land in this looks bad but works fine category. A slice of whole grain bread might list different flours, seeds, sourdough starter, and added vitamins and minerals, giving you a mini essay on the back of the bag. Yet some of these multi ingredient foods are linked with better health outcomes, like lower risk of certain chronic diseases, when they're high in whole grains or live cultures and low in added sugars and sodium. So if you judge them only by number of ingredients, you might accidentally toss out the stuff that's actually helping you in favor of something that's simpler but not actually better. Okay, so does that mean long lists are totally innocent? No, not really. There's a difference between a lot of ingredients for a good reason and a lot of ingredients because we churned corn, sugar, and oil into a snack that tastes literally like fireworks. Ultra processed foods are usually defined as industrial products made mostly from refined ingredients. Things like starches, sugars, cheap fats, and additives, with very little actual whole food left. Reviews of the research say these ultra processed foods are typically high in added sugar, saturated fat, and sodium, and low in fiber and micronutrients, which is not exactly the combo you want dominating your diet. According to Yale School of Public Health, about 67% of, wait, holy crap, 67, no, I'm just kidding, 55% of calories in the average US diet now come from foods classified as ultra processed, and higher intakes of these foods have been linked with obesity, cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, mental health problems, and a higher risk of death. A narrative review in a medical journal found that in 37 different studies, higher exposure to ultra processed foods was associated with at least one bad health outcome, including overweight, obesity, and cardiometabolic risks like high blood pressure and unhealthy cholesterol levels. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention also notes that ultra processed foods tend to be hyperpalatable, energy dense, low in fiber, and that higher consumption has been associated with higher risk of cardiovascular disease and all-cause mortality. You can see this in more specific studies too. In research reported by Stanford Medicine, based on a study published in the BMJ, men who ate the most ultra-processed food had about a 29% higher risk of colorectal cancer than those who ate the least, according to the BMJ. That doesn't mean one instant noodle cup can ruin your life, but it does mean that when ingredient soup becomes your default breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the risk does start to add up. This is why the latest US dietary guidelines from the federal government explicitly tell people to avoid highly processed packaged foods that are salty or sweet and to focus on whole foods, protein, and fewer refined carbs and added sugars. In other words, the problem is not that a label has a paragraph, it's that your whole menu is paragraphs and almost no actual food. So, if the research is piling up, why is there still so much arguing? One big reason is that people are optimizing for different things. Some people value convenience, cost, and shelf life because they are busy, stressed, or don't have an easy access to fresh food. So, multi ingredient packaged food can feel like a lifesaver and not like something trying to kill you. Reviews of modern food systems point out that ultra processed foods are everywhere, partly because they are cheap, convenient, and profitable, which makes them hard to avoid even if you care about health. If you're working two jobs and feeding kids, your bad frozen meal might still be the only realistic way you get any dinner on the table. On the flip side, people who care a lot about naturalness or who have had bad health experiences often lean hard into simple rules like only eat short ingredient lists because it feels safer and more controllable. Articles in mainstream outlets note that many consumers genuinely believe products with long ingredient lists are automatically less healthy, even though experts keep saying that it's a myth to assume that more than 5 ingredients would be unhealthy by default. If you've personally felt better after cutting out a lot of packaged foods, it's easy to credit the rule and ignore the nuance. There's also the problem that even scientists don't perfectly agree on what counts as ultra processed. Yale's information sheet openly says there isn't yet a clear, universal definition of ultra processed foods, even though multiple studies link diets high in them with chronic disease. Reviews of the NOVA classification system note that different studies use slightly different methods and that classifying foods by processing level can be tricky in practice. So, you can have two people looking at the same granola bar. One calls it ultra processed and scary, and another calls it a high fiber snack with some added vitamins, and technically both actually have a point. So, what do you actually do with all this? Instead of asking, is a long ingredient list good or bad, try asking, what's actually in there, how often do I eat it, and what does the rest of my diet even look like? Nutrition groups suggest you look at which ingredients come first. Is it whole grains and beans or sugar and refined flour? Check the nutrition facts for added sugars, saturated fats, and sodium, and notice whether the food brings anything useful like fiber, protein, or key vitamins and minerals. The current US dietary guidelines basically say build most of your diet out of nutrient dense foods like vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and quality protein. Limit adding sugar and highly processed refined carbs. But you don't have to completely ban every packaged thing forever. What matters most is your pattern over time and what trade offs you're okay with. Whether that means choosing the whole grain cereal with a long label over the simple box of pure sugar, or deciding that some convenient snacks are worth it as long as they don't become your entire personality. You don't need someone telling you exactly what to think. You just need to understand how this works well enough to decide for yourself. Thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoyed this video, and only if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe and a hype or a share or comment. Go do all of those and go tell your grandma and go start rating places and tell them to subscribe to my channel. To get me more views. The more views, the better. You know what I'm saying? Hey, who wants to get more educated? I'm ready to get more educated. All right. Well, anyways, seriously, I hope you have a good day and thank you for watching. And make sure to come back for another video, please. I need the money. I'm gonna go broke.